In the early hours of November the 5th, 1605, Guy Fawkes was arrested while preparing to explode several dozen barrels of gunpowder in the cellars under Parliament House. It was his design to destroy the King and Parliament, and with his fellow conspirators, led by Robert Catesby, he planned to raise rebellion among the Catholics in the north of England. The object of the gunpowder plot was to put a Catholic king on the throne in place of the Protestant James I. To commemorate the discovery of the plot, November the 5th was declared a public holiday. Bonfire night became a traditional evening for anti-Catholic feeling, when people were reminded of their Protestant faith and of England's independence from foreign tyranny. Over the years, many other traditions came to be associated with Bonfire night, reflecting not just the religious but also the social conflicts of the past centuries. It became a time for protest and demonstration. Nowadays, these traditions are almost forgotten. In Lewes, small local groups called bonfire societies continue the almost forgotten traditions of bonfire. Some of these local traditions are peculiar to Lewes. Others, like the gunpowder plot, are part of English national folklore. The Cliff Bonfire Society is the oldest of the 6 bonfire societies in Lewes. Its members maintain a strictly traditional approach to bonfire. The ritual soaking of hand torches in paraffin takes place, as it has for years, very early on bonfire morning.
Can't before we can't no guts left in him. Just like a barrel then. Right.
Are you proper?
The youngest of the 6 Lewes bonfire societies, the Neville Juveniles, is run entirely for children.
Can you move those torches across there? Pick up some of these dry ones and put the soap torches on top of them.
The first year I think we made 6 torches. The next year we made 15 or 20 torches. The year after that we actually formed with about 20 people and about 60 torches. And the year after that we went round to see Councillor Breeze and asked him if we could start a bonfire society. And in '68 we formed into the Neville Juvenile Bonfire Society.
The Cliff's firework tableau is an important part of local bonfire tradition in Lewes. Assembled secretly outside the town, it remains hidden until the celebrations themselves begin. Pete Martin is responsible for its construction.
The tableau is a compromise between just a figure or a model and a firework display. The tableau that the Cliff have is a three-dimensional model with the fireworks built into it, which is taken around in the procession. Generally, I think it always try to make it some topical event. And it's called Hard Times. So we've just got a very large hand holding an empty purse. The tableaus in the past have sometimes depicted political figures, religious aspects. Local unpopular characters have been burnt. Even recently they've been burning town councillors and so on. The traditions of the tableau making are handed down from each generation. So basically, we're still doing it the same way that they were 100 years ago.
Tim, have you got the rest of the flash Romans down there?
The hand is 23 times life size. We leave a slot in all the tops of all the fingers and anywhere where fireworks will be coming out, because we don't really want to put the fireworks in until the last possible moment in case the fireworks would get damp. The main thing about the tableau, as opposed to a normal firework display, is that you only light it once, which is, I think, unique in firework making, that you have so many fireworks running for such a long time.
Anti-Catholicism has always been a part of November the 5th, and the Cliff continue this tradition in Lewes, their chairman.
I would like to think that the members of the Cliff are there because they're trying to maintain a tradition, and burning the Pope is part of the true tradition of Bonfire.
What shall we do with them? Burn!
We certainly go to great lengths to tell the general public in whatever way we can. If people are prepared to pay 5p for our programme, it explains everything in there. The gunpowder plot was a popish plot to overthrow a Protestant king. Lewes was one of the centres where quite a few Protestant martyrs got burnt at the stake, and therefore I think that the anti-Catholic traditions are taken from there. But we have had trouble with people thinking that we're burning the present-day Pope. The bulk of people taking the spirit that it's meant. We're carrying out a tradition that is centuries old. That's not enough for me.
You've got to get the spirit of it.
If the society makes a tradition itself, we have another tradition at the War Memorial where we have in service to remember the dead of the two world wars.
On the 5th of November 1847, following several years of violence and damage to life and property, and an attack on the house of a magistrate, 80 Metropolitan Police were drafted into Lewes, and many townspeople were sworn in as special constables. Minor disturbances began early in the evening, but the authorities took no action until the mail gig was bolted. A man lay injured, and the crowd began to get excited. From the steps of County Hall, Lord Chichester read the Riot Act, ordering the crowds to disperse. In the skirmish that followed, the police charged the revellers and the crowd broke up. But in the town, for many nights after, there was a great deal of unrest. November the 5th had become a day when the ordinary people of Lewes could demonstrate freely, a day on which they could express their discontent. The violence of the Lewes riots certainly reflects the great social and political unrest of those hard times. The authorities, realizing they could never stop the November the 5th celebrations in Lewes, agreed instead to the formation of bonfire societies to conduct the celebrations in an orderly fashion. The masks and striped shirts that had been worn as disguises by the rioters gradually evolved into the fancy dress costumes of today.